Well, welcome everyone. I'm happy to have you here for one of our Wednesday Night is Business Night series of programs. My name is Sarah Lavensliger, and I'm the Business Resource Center Coordinator here at the library. So this program tonight, or any program related to business, jobs and careers, or computer and technology, I help set up. If you haven't visited upstairs yet, we have a great little Business Resource Center loaded with resources, some in-house with our books and periodicals and reference materials, and a lot of it is available online as one of our databases, ReferenceUSA, is accessible through our library website, simsburylibrary.info. And I'm happy to have our guest speaker who's in town from out of state tonight to give us a little demo and help us learn more about using this library subscription resource. A little bit of background about our guest speaker. TJ Pridell is a New England account manager for Inforgroup, specializing in library division and small and mid-sized business marketing. Utilizing Inforgroup's business resource, ReferenceUSA, TJ serves as a marketing consultant to the business community and an account manager to the New England library system. In a data and technology-driven society, TJ encourages the business market to apply big data in generating a healthy pipeline of prospective clientele. TJ graduated from the University of Nebraska, Omaha, with a Bachelor of Science in Business Marketing. Please join me in welcoming TJ.
Thank you. Hi. Like Sarah said, my name is TJ Pridell. I work with Inforgroup. Inforgroup does own the database ReferenceUSA, which Simsbury Public Library subscribes to. Essentially, this is what your tax dollars are going to, so we want you to use this database. We want you to get the benefit from it. I'm here today just to kind of walk you through how to use the database, what its intended purposes are, how it can impact your business operations, and how it can really better your operations within the community and your geographic sales territory. So a little bit of background information. Like I said, ReferenceUSA is owned by Inforgroup. Inforgroup originally started up in 1974 as a small data compiler. The gentleman who started the company was just collecting phone books. So he wasn't a crazy person. He did have an intended use for that. He would sell lists to businesses that needed sales leads. So it was as simple as names, addresses, and phone numbers. Since then, we've expanded quite a bit. Now we're collecting from over thousands of different sources on the business side and hundreds of different sources on the consumer side. All the information that you see in the database is publicly sourced, which means we'll collect from Secretary of State filings for brand new businesses, SEC exchanges and filings for financial information, utility connects and disconnects, so heating, plumbing, electricity. All those public utilities is public information. So when we get our hands on that, we'll get the owner's name, their contact information, their address, the industry they're associated with, what they're making in sales revenue every single year. All this information is going to help business owners in identifying who their key prospects are so that they can do targeted advertising campaigns to businesses or consumers who are most likely to buy their products and services. Our end goal, other than just to make money, because we are a business, is to impact local economic growth. So the local government agencies are strong supporters of ReferenceUSA, Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Research Center, small business development centers, as well as the federal government. Department of Transportation uses our information. FEMA uses our information. I know we had Hurricane Harvey and Irma, devastate parts of our country. They're using that information just to know where people and businesses are. So there's a lot of different uses for the database. The first thing I really want to point out at the bottom of our website is our 1-800 line. If you have any questions at all after this presentation, if you decide to use this, you can always call us and ask any question that you have. So that'll route directly to me or one of the other 20 representatives that work in our department. We're not just account managers, we're also customer service representatives. So happy to answer any questions that you have. If you need additional training, you can go up to the top where you see our Learning Center. We've got daily interactive webinars. We've got a dedicated trainer who's there to answer any questions that you have, and they'll just walk you through on how to build a prospect list, how to do market research, how to best use the database to impact your business operations. So as I said, this is all offered through Simsbury Public Library. You can access it internally in the library. You can also access it remotely at work or from home. So you're going to go through the simsburylibrary.info website, and then under the research link, you'll find the databases link, which will link you to all of their databases that they subscribe to. You'll find ReferenceUSA listed in there. Once you select that link, it's going to ask you to put in your library card number, and you'll have full access to our database after that. Once you're on the database, you're going to see 10 available data modules here. Every single module has its own unique purpose. The ones that get most used are going to be the U.S. Business module, and then the U.S. Standard White Pages, or the New Movers in Healthcare. Probably those 4 top used. Under U.S. Business, I'm just going to dive right into this. If anyone has any questions at any time, please feel free to interrupt. I'm happy to answer any questions as we go. So.
Thanks, Dun & Bradstreet.
I'm glad you brought that up. So there's 2 mass data compilers in the United States, and that's Inforgroup and then Dun & Bradstreet. So there's a lot of data companies out there. A lot of them sell sales leads. Most of them are resellers of information. Dun & Bradstreet is a compiler, and we are also a compiler. So if you're going to trust anyone's information, either us or Dun & Bradstreet.
Dun & Bradstreet will send questionnaires to small privately held businesses to fill out, so hopefully they can, populate their database. Where does RefUSA get their information from? Privately, closely held companies.
As well as all the publicly sourced information, we also have a call center that employs 350 people. It's in Omaha, Nebraska. They make phone calls to all the businesses every single year to verify that the information we have collected on them is accurate. Once we've kind of gone through that questionnaire with the owner, you'll see that move over into our verified business file. So there's 2 files, verified and unverified. Verified meaning we established contact with them by phone, verified it was accurate, and then unverified, we just weren't able to reach them by phone, so the publicly sourced information was what we're relying on. It's a huge operation. We've got about 2,000 employees in our corporate office in Omaha, Nebraska. 350 of them are strictly in charge of just making phone calls. Last year we made 25 million phone calls to verify all the information.
Can you put in a company name if that's what you're going to do?
Yep, exactly.
Aircon. A-I-R-C-O-N. I think it's in Los Angeles.
What's the relation? What's your interest with them?
They're a news company that does earbuds.
Okay.
So I just wanted to see if you had any information.
Sure. We've got every single business in the United States. Well, almost everyone. So I assume they're in there. Maybe I'll circle back to that. There's
if you had, I just thought
yeah.
you were looking for.
Sure. The business I'm going to use as an example is ConAgra Brands. They're located out of Chicago, Illinois. This place has a little spot in my heart because they used to be located out of Omaha, Nebraska. Recently they just moved. Most immediate information you're going to see is the name of the company, the CEO or the owner, where they're located, contact information, and then on the right-hand side you're going to see this corporate tree icon and this down arrow. The down arrow represents corporate linkage. That means that that's a headquarters and they own entities underneath them. Up arrow means vice versa, they're owned by someone else. And then you can select this corporate tree icon to see that hierarchy. So this will tell you that ConAgra Brands is a public company. These are their subsidiaries, and then every single branch they own across the United States. So what this will tell you is that they're a food product and manufacturer. Here's how many people they employ nationwide, and then what they're making in sales revenue every single year across the nation. Every other employee size or sales volume figure is all going to be location-based information. That's what they're making at the branch. So once we open up this record, this is going to be a detailed record. This is everything that we know about that business. Most immediate information is going to be general location. So this is how business owners are going to do their cold call outreach, address, phone number, website for additional information, and then recently we inputted social media feeds. So you'll see the company's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google Plus populate down here. Job seekers will use a database. It's all run through Indeed.com. We like Indeed. It serves as a job aggregator. So if there's any business or job postings on websites like Monster, Career Builder, Area Help Wanted website, it all pools into Indeed like a search engine. So if that location is hiring, we'll show you in this module. Additionally, there's a separate jobs module on the home page where you can look for work just like you do in Indeed. And then we'll link you back to the U.S. business profile so you can do additional research. The industry profile, this will show you the company's SIC code or their standard industrial classification and their NAICS codes, which is the North American Industrial Classification System. You do not have to be an expert on these codes in order to run searches. I'm not even an expert on these codes, so I wouldn't worry about it. But all this says is that they're a food product manufacturer. That's their primary industry, and that's what they do on a day-to-day basis. Business profile, this is a small blurb on the company, what they do, why they're important, what they sell. We usually pull this straight from the company website. Google Maps is fully integrated with ReferenceUSA. A lot of people don't know this, but our address points actually powers Google Maps. So if you've ever used it to get you from point A to point B, you're actually using our addresses to get you there. We also power 90% of the in-car navigation systems like TomTom, Garmin, OnStar. Let's say you opened up new tab, we go to google.com, type in Simsbury Public Library. The information you see on the right-hand side is information that we provide to Google. We also do this for Yahoo, AOL, MSN, and Bing. So let's say you own your own small business. You open up a brand new location. Your information hasn't been updated yet in ReferenceUSA. You can go on our sister website, expressupdate.com. This website will let you legally claim your business listing, get your information updated free of charge in the ReferenceUSA database. Subsequently, we're going to share that with all the other search engines like Google, Yahoo, AOL, etc. Now you might have to do like search engine optimization if you want to show up, on one of the first pages, but at least your information will be accurate. That's information we're going to be sharing with them. Business demographics is going to tell you about how many people they employ, are they public, private, government, nonprofit, etc. Some of the nitty-gritty information about a business. So in terms of sales revenue and employee size, now since ConAgra Brands is a public company, they legally have to disclose that in their public filings every single year. Since the majority of businesses across the nation are privately owned, they do not have to disclose that. So in order for us to come up with a sales and employee size figure, we have to do economic modeling. So the U.S. Department of Commerce and the Economic Census will provide averages to us. We'll take those averages and then we'll input it into a mathematical algorithm to estimate what they're likely to make in sales and how many people they're likely to employ.
Sometimes it's way off.
And sometimes it's way off.
I deal with a lot of privately owned companies. You compare the two. ReferenceUSA is not on target this time.
Yeah. It's not perfect.
No.
Definitely not.
You did it. You just told me. So It's a modeling system. Okay, interesting.
Yep. If you're ever curious about where we get some of the information, there's a link. You can click that link and then there will be a blurb about kind of how we came up with some of those values. So definitely take the information you're taking with a grain of salt. The detailed record is not meant to be kind of like a perfect synopsis of everything that they do, and what they're making in certain figures. Most of the people who use a database are building a prospect list or doing market research so they can get a better understanding about their competitors and how they can be competitive in their marketplace. This is probably one of the most vital things is the management directory. These are going to be your key decision makers at the company. So these are top-level executives, C-level executives, people who are likely to pull the trigger on a project that you might be reaching out to them to discuss. So these are, you'll see their name, title, gender, and ethnicity. I teach a job seekers course as well. It's a bit of a bold suggestion. It's something I've never done, and I always tell people that. But if they're applying for a job, I tell them, find the HR manager and reach out to them. Say, hey, I submitted my resume and cover letter. Excited for the opportunity. When should I expect a call back? Leave it at that. Don't interview over the phone. But in theory, maybe that'll get your resume pushed to the top of the pile. I certainly don't miss the song and dance that is the job seeking process. It's not fun. And you always feel like you're submitting your resume straight into a black hole, never to be heard from again. So I always tell people, just be as proactive as you can. Company news section, this is the one section that an Inforgroup employee doesn't manually have to update. We use web mining tools. So if there's any article from a host of trusted news sources that mentions ConAgra brands, it's automatically going to publish to this section. And then the most recent publishings will be up on top. We'll provide any external links for you to read more about them. Stock data, we've got it if you need it. New York Stock Exchange information. There's a Google Finance link here that you can follow. And this will show you information about how they're doing in the stock market. So I started using ReferenceUSA as a patron of Omaha Public Library. Originally I used it in college to do certain market research projects, just to kind of showcase my ability to do marketing within the local community. When I started to transition over into jobs, I used it to showcase my ability to prospect for sales leads. So I brought them into my interviews, and I said, if you hire me for this business development manager position, I'm going to target all the businesses that have the highest expenditures in what you're selling. Maybe you can help them in reducing their costs, and then you can become a firm supplier for them. So this expenditure report section is going to show you everywhere where they're spending most of their money. Once again, since we're dealing with financials, this information is going to be modeled most likely for the private companies. I'm not exactly an exemplar of how you can find a job using the database. I didn't get any of those jobs that I applied for. Got me to some final round interviews, so in theory it was a good way to use the database. I ended up applying for Inforgroup. I had no idea that they own ReferenceUSA. They started asking me all about the database. I was like, oh yeah, I love this, I love that. So this job really just landed in my lap. Stars aligned. We do have historical information. So dating back to 2003, we're going to show you how a company structure has changed over time. In terms of sales revenue and employee size, you will be able to see kind of how it's changed. I know investors will use our historical database to identify market trends. I've helped entrepreneurs in identifying those same market trends to identify if it's a good idea to open up a business here versus there. In ReferenceUSA in its simplicity, it's a list building tool. More complex way to use it is to do that market research to understand where you can open up a brand new business. I remember back in, I think it was 2003, ConAgra Brands had that huge Peter Pan peanut butter brand listeria outbreak, and that led to some internal controversy. You'll notice this huge decline. I know that played a factor. I don't know how much, but you see they laid off a ton of employees, lost a ton of sales revenue. Over the years, they've been stagnant, started growing, moved out of Omaha here, and then they're in Chicago now. UCC filings, these are uniform commercial codes. Fill rate is kind of low on these, but if you ever need to know where a company's assets are tied up in, uniform commercial codes will tell you that. Usually banks, lawyers, financial managers are going to be the ones to use that. Nearby businesses are their neighbors. These are businesses right next door. And then finally, we have a small competitors report. So this is your competition. I encourage you, if you want a full detailed competitors report, to go do an advanced search. Search for all the businesses that have the same industry as you in your geographic area that is your sales territory. That'll get you a full listing of who you're competing with. All right, so that's a detailed record. That's pretty much what you're going to see in every single record. There's 49 million U.S. business records, so there's a lot of information at your fingertips. Most people are going to use that advanced search feature to narrow down a target market of your choosing. So everything you see on the left-hand side are all data elements that you can apply to your target market. So essentially, this is going to be businesses who are most likely to buy your products and services. So it's a unique interest of your own. I gave a presentation, it was a couple years back in Lewiston and Auburn, Maine. And I met with the Lewiston and Auburn Business Economic Council. They were looking at ways of stimulating the local economy. And a project they were working on involved the dairy farming industry. So they asked a very simple question: where are the dairy farms located in New England? I thought it was a good way to showcase how to build a list. So under business type, I'm going to run a keyword search, and this is where I said you don't have to be an expert on SIC codes or NAICS codes. And I'm just going to type in dairy farms. So not only are dairy farms going to populate, but other industries that are similar, like butter wholesalers, farming services, homogenizers, etc. And then under geography, you can get as granular as you need to be. Google Maps is integrated with this tool, so you can open up Google Maps and literally draw out exactly where you're looking for specific businesses. So if you wanted to find all beauty salons in a mile radius from your home, or all barbecue restaurants, right near your home, you could do that. So for this example, I'll just select state by state to cover the New England territory. I'm going to select Update Count, that blue button right there. This will show you your market size. So there's 183 dairy farms in New England. We'll click View Results. And then this will show you your business listing. Name of the farm, the owner, contact info, phone number right there if you want to reach out to them. Like I said, most people are using the database or using it to do cold call outreach or direct mail campaigns, as well as market research. So most of the business owners are going to want to export this information into a neat, clean spreadsheet format, which you are allowed to do. All you need to do is check mark the businesses that you'd like. Select Download at the top. Choose your file format, the level of detail you want to see, and then you can either download it or email it directly to yourself.
What's the email address for the contacts? Email address.
Email address is one thing that we don't put in the database, but we do compile it. So I'd be happy to take your money if you want to give it to me. We can give you email addresses. right, so this is what the spreadsheet's going to look like. It's formatted and we parsed out every data element. So if you did want to upload it into a mail merge program, start creating postcards, and then deliver it right to a business's doorstep, you could do that. Or if you want to work straight from the spreadsheet and take notes, you can do that as well. You can load it to Salesforce. There's a lot you can really do with this. But all the information you saw in the detailed record are right here in the spreadsheet. From a market research standpoint, we do have some visualization components that are going to be vital. At the top, you'll see this heat map option. Once we select that, that's going to show you a saturation report as to where these dairy farms are most densely located. So applicable uses. Once upon a time, I had a pet store owner call into our 1-800 line, and he was looking for the best locations to open up his brand new pet store. So what we did for him was we did a heat map in his state of all the current pet stores where they were most highly saturated. We went to our consumer database, found where all the pet owners were, did a heat map of that, overlaid the two, and then identified where the areas of opportunity are. So there's a whole mess of pet stores over here, a lot of pet owners over here, but no pet store. There's your area of opportunity. And then they end up, I assume, opening up in that location. Once you zoom in, you're going to start to see all these businesses pinpoint. Select any of these pins, and you'll be able to see smaller, detailed information on that business. In terms of success, we'll rank each dairy farm as to how much they're making on the left-hand side. And then if you are a student doing research, we do have MLA and APA format already cited. All you have to do is copy and paste.
What is MLA and APA formats?
It's been too long since I've been to college. It's basically citing your sources. Yeah. So if you do research and you need to show where you got your information, they put that in their paper. I forget what it stands for. I should know that, though. There's a ton of different data elements, just depending on who your target market is and what's applicable for your use. You'll just have to identify, what are going to be the best things to check mark for you. Like,
Can you select last verified date?
No. Not yet, but that's good for our web developers. If you are concerned about, kind of accuracy of information, because I've talked with a lot of business owners, I got a business file from so-and-so and the information was severely outdated and, how can I trust your information? We try and update every business record at least once a year. So we make about 3 million changes a month. About 1.5 million every 2 weeks. We're basically pushing a new data dump to the user end. So the public companies are going to get updated very frequently. The smallest mom and pop shop, like Dave's Donuts down the street, usually gets updated once a year. So there's a lot of different data elements. One, web address. Do you want them to have a website? They help the web developer find all the businesses that didn't establish a web presence yet. So she ended up reaching out to see if they wanted to outsource that work to her, building a website for their company. So look for companies only with a website or only ones without one. Help the billboard company identify businesses right off the interstate, 0.1 mile radius off the interstate. They ended up reaching out to them to see if they wanted to advertise on their billboard. There's tons of applicable uses. When I first started working at Inforgroup, they just threw me in front of a computer and said, just start clicking around. Before you know it, you'll be an expert. And there is truth to that. So fumble around. Before you know it, you'll be just as savvy as I am. So I did want to dive into some of the other modules. Is there any questions so far? Hopefully none of you are bored to tears. I know I'm here talking about data. One of my first presentations I ever gave, I actually had a librarian fall asleep on me. So there was drool pouring out of his mouth, and he wasn't even trying to hide it. He was front row falling asleep. So
Just a tip I found, just if I want to research a company, you were right at the very beginning, you typed in the company's name, their city, maybe even their address. I just find what the phone number is. But that's the only data field I fill out. Without filling the rest of it out, and usually it all comes up.
yep, you can do it like that too. Shorter, quicker. Absolutely. I mean, all you need is a little bit of information to get you to where you're going. So if you know the company name, great. If you know their phone number, awesome. It'll get you to the same place. All right, so probably the second most important thing is going to be the consumer side. There's some information that's in-house that you would just have to reach out to us to get. Some of it is available for free through the library, and then some of it you are going to have to pay for. Stuff that you have to pay for is sensitive information. So people age 65 and over, or if you sell children's apparel and you need to know which households have children in them. There's a lot of red tape restriction regarding sensitive demographic information about individual household level information. So if your target market, you sell life insurance, right, and you need to get in touch with people of a certain age, or need to know if they're a veteran, stuff like that, you just call us, and then we'll go over kind of those guidelines that you'll need to sign off on, and then you can get that information. But if you're just looking for basic information like household income, home value, whether they just moved into town recently, that information you can find for free through the library. Our new movers and homeowners database will show you who's just moved into town. Businesses will use this information to do a B2C, business to consumer, household welcome campaign. So they'll find everyone who's just moved in the past 3 months, send them a mailer, say, hey, welcome to Simsbury, come on into my pizza shop for a 10% discount. The information we get is through USPS. So if you fill out that little form that says, hey, I'm moving from here to here, we'll know you just moved. If you get new utilities, plumbing, heating, electricity, gas, sewage, whatever it is, we'll know that you just got a new hookup at a new home. We get title and deed information on the house, mortgage information through the bank, so we'll know how much your house is worth, estimated household income based on that real estate information. So if you need to advertise to a certain type of demographic, this is partially where you're going to find that. This one's real simple. The most important thing is time frame. So select time frame under Relocation Details. Say I want to find everyone who just moved in the past 3 months. Choose the city under city/state. There's 270 people who just moved into Simsbury in the past 3 months. You can overlay that with additional information. I'm only looking for households who make more than TJ at ReferenceUSA here. $175,000 or more in household income every year, just moved in. Maybe you're doing a charitable donor campaign. You work with a nonprofit and you want to raise funds. Maybe you're a landscaper and you want to reach out to everyone who lives in a single family household, not an apartment, that just moved in. Let them know that you're there to mow their lawn and shovel their driveway. So we'll let you know the home ownership information. Are they a homeowner or are they renting?
Is this confirmed?
There's confirmed, probable, and then renter. Confirmed means we collected all the necessary information, title and deed on the house, mortgage information through the bank. We absolutely know that they're a homeowner. Probable means we might have collected some of that. Maybe we know that they've got a mortgage out. Could have been for like a previous household. Could have been for a second residence. But we didn't find title and deed on that address. So it means they're likely a homeowner, but we haven't confirmed it yet. And then renter is just
Specifically says renter, I didn't see that on there.
yeah, it didn't show up on the first page, but there'll be renter too.
And all that information is downloadable into an Excel file too?
Yep, absolutely. The historical business database is a look back to 2003. We started saving our business information on a server. Financial managers, investors will use this to identify market trends. Entrepreneurs will use this to identify, is it a good idea to open up a new restaurant right now? What's the success ratio of restaurants in the city? So you can kind of see the fluctuation rate, the open and close rate of certain businesses in certain geographic areas. So, same thing as the regular business database. Run your keyword search. Let's say we're considering opening up a beauty salon. So you choose any industry that could be competitive with you. Manicuring, cosmetologists, barbers, tanning salons, beauty salons. And then you choose the area that is your sales territory, who's most likely to come in. For a beauty salon, it's probably people who live close. So since 2003, there's been 3,086 businesses that meet those industries that have been open in Hartford. If a business has been open for 15 years, technically that's 15 business records, a record for each year. And then if you go to the top and you select charts, this is going to show you a visual representation on that open and close rate. What's the stagnation rate of that industry? Well, I know that it's always volatile in that industry. Almost across the board nationwide with beauty salons, the open and close rate is like this. So, you kind of run in that risk. Now we're on a downturn. Since 2013, there's 258. Looks like 80 of those businesses closed in the past 4 years. So maybe there's going to be another upswing. Your guess is as good as mine. At the top, select this SIC code link, and then you kind of see the differentiation between those industries. So here's how many beauty salons there are versus barbers versus manicuring. And then here's kind of a line graph over time as to what those look like. Another good example is maybe Blockbuster. You'll see it growing, and then it's gone. Just, a ton of businesses down to zero. Oil and gas industry in North Dakota. Hotels, contractors, refineries. You'll see that blow up out of nowhere and then gradually decline. We do have information in Canada if you need consumer information or business information. Same as the U.S. business database, it functions the exact same way. Our healthcare database, we bought out a healthcare data company. They're in charge of compiling medical information. And then we basically made this module after that. So the information you'll see on there is about doctors, dentists, physicians, and surgeons. It can be used casually. I need a good allergy and immunologist doctor. Where are all the allergy and immunologist doctors within 3-mile radius from my house? It'll show you what insurance policies they accept, whether they accept Medicare or Medicaid, are they accepting brand new patients. That information is housed in here. So like I said, ReferenceUSA is integrated with Google Maps, so this mapping feature is available in any module that you use. So you can open up the map here, either zoom in on an address or a city or a zip code. So I just typed in Simsbury Public Library. We just zoom in on the library. For the sake of an example, let's say this is your house. and you want to know where those doctors, dentists, and physicians are, I'm going to click Define Radius. Simple click and drag of the mouse. We want to find all those in a 3-mile radius. Alternatively, you can draw a shape. So if you want to get really defined, just draw out the parameters where you're looking for those physicians. You can do that in the business database as well. You just want to draw out, where they are in a certain business sector. And then under practice and credential, you can choose their specialty. So we'll choose allergy and immunology. So there's none. It's too bad. But if we're looking at all of them, it's going to show you name of the doctor, the physician, where they're located, and then how you can get in touch with the office. Once you open up their detailed record, that's when it's going to show that specialty information like healthcare plans accepted. Make sure that you're in network, Medicare, Medicaid, brand new patients. Those are the important stuff. This is likely a hospital, I assume. U.S. new business, these are businesses that have opened up in the past 2 years. All the businesses in U.S. new business are also in U.S. business. We're just going to show you some of their licensing information in there. And it's easier to kind of navigate and choose, well, I'm only looking for those businesses that opened up in the past year. Security firms, general contractors, insurance agents, anyone who needs to know those businesses that just opened, or likely targets to be a customer of yours, this is how you're going to find them. Lastly, we have the white pages. It's very simplistic. It's just name, address, phone number, household income, and then home value. So if you want to do a reverse phone lookup, find an old friend, colleague, or just identify, where's a good community where I can buy a house. This is my budget. Find, different sectors of town that have certain home values. We do have personal accounts, which means you can sign up for an email and password login to ReferenceUSA. You still have to log in with your library card through the library website, but once you log in, you can log in with your email, and then you can start saving searches. So you run a search, you can save it, sign in a week from now, and then pull open that same search and continue working where you left off. Additional consumer information that you can always call in to get is purchasing and lifestyle interest. Excuse me. So let's say you want to do an advertising campaign to the household level, and you wanted to target people who are likely to buy your products and services, what you sell. We collect information through credit card processing companies, open lines of credit, magazine subscriptions. So a little bit big brothery, but let's say you go to the Home Depot and you swipe your credit card for $1,000. We'll have no idea what you bought, but we'll know you spent $1,000 at a home improvement store, at a gardening store, at a do-it-yourself store. Based on your household income, our economists have an algorithm that'll estimate what your propensity of buying products and services related to a specific industry is. Then they'll rank you on a scale of 0 to 9. So based on those lifestyle interests, that's going to determine, what you as a consumer are likely to buy. So if you've got, an apparel store, high fashion store, you're going to want to target people who are buying that kind of stuff. If you got a gourmet food and wine shop, you're going to want to target people who are, historically proven that they buy that type of stuff, and get them coming into your store and buying your products. So that's all information we house in-house. Everything else you see here is free through the library. So we want you to use this. Like I said earlier, this is what your tax dollars is paying for. Our goal is local economic growth, but we want to help you, grow your business and do better advertising so you can get people into either your business or your store to buy your stuff. Is there any questions?
Yeah, we're probably going to walk out of here and only have retained 10 to 20% of what you told us today. So is it the FAQ? Where do we go to read more about how to use all these features that you showed us?
Great question. In the Learning Center at the top right-hand side, daily interactive webinars you can sign up for, archive videos, and then we've got training guides, which will show you basically everything I've said today.
Okay, so all under the Learning Center. Great.
Yep.
How do you filter? We're in an age where a lot of people are just opening up one-man shops. Their businesses are really services. They're probably just working for the companies that let them go, but something like that. And they operate out of their home. Those pop up. I have seen them pop up on RefUSA, but sometimes it's hard to discern that that's what they are.
And it is hard to discern that is what they are because I had an old friend. I had a friend who basically, in order to achieve the salary rate that they wanted, they had to open up their own independent contracting firm. So basically on paper they had a business, and then the business that they were getting hired to would use them as a contractor to hire them on. So it was just basically a one-person operation, but they're really just working for that company.
It's not truly a business. It's basically, like you said, it's
on paper.
It's agent.
Yeah.
Basically what I am. But I was trying to just filter out really brick and mortar businesses here in Simsbury when I was doing a fundraising campaign for Simsbury Community Television, which they're back here taping. I do that for them, and I came up with a lot of those today. I was able to kind of tell because I know the town, but
Yeah. There's no great way to do it. There's a way that you can make assumptions, like those businesses are likely to make sales revenues, less than $500,000. But you don't want to exclude all those, small private businesses who are actually operating.
And the next question is, let's assume they are operating. A lot of them, they operate for a year and then they're gone. How quick is the refresh in RefUSA to know that this is operational or not operational anymore? So I found a lot of our direct mail campaign letters came back because I did develop the whole mailing list using RefUSA.
Yeah. Our smallest private shop, like I said, tries to get updated once a year. So if they went out of business 6 months ago, you might just be out of luck. You might get that bounce back.
Okay, you did. So for small business, it's about once a year.
Yeah.
Okay. You said you validated bigger businesses, once every quarter or something?
We don't have it. It's whenever we get the information through the feed. It might be once a month, depending on how big they are. Like our web mining tools will give us frequent updates. Like it'll ping us. Ping, just got in, this new news article on an acquisition or a merger or whatever. Okay. So it depends. In-house, we rank each address in terms of deliverability. And I've been pushing them to actually put that in the database. So we rank each business or consumer address from 1 to 5 as to what their likelihood of being delivered is. So 1 is, highly probable it will deliver. 2 is probably deliverable. And then, 3 through 5, I wouldn't even recommend anyone to use if they're doing a direct mail campaign. Those are things we can weed out internally, but it's not in the database for now, which I'm trying to get them to put in there.
A ranking.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be very useful, yeah. Would that be for both businesses and residences, or just businesses?
Both. Yeah. So that's us in a really large nutshell. You can always call us or email us. Once again, our information is at the bottom of the website. If you've got additional questions, we're always here to answer them. You can ask for me directly if you like me. I travel a lot, so I might not be in.
We just remember TJ, they'll all know who you are?
Yeah. Only TJ there. Thank you, guys.
Where's your home base? Where are you based out of?
Omaha, Nebraska. Yep.
Thank you. I've been using RefUSA for years. It's been very useful, but I didn't realize how robust it is. And you pointed out a lot of really cool features. So
Sure. Good to hear.
Thank you, TJ.
Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.